Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Guruna Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनीश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। So today we will be reading from third canto and first chapter, which is entitled Questions by Vidura, and I'm reading verses from 10 to 12. So I will not read the Sanskrit translations. I will just read the English translations. And also, I did not prepare for the class much. So please feel free to give your input or your comments. So it starts from text 10. A translation by Srila Prabhupada. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother Dhritarashtra for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of state. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Political suggestions by Vidura are known as expert, just as in modern times, Pandit Chanakya is considered the authority in good counsel in both political and moral instructions. Text 11, Vidura said, "You must now return the legitimate share to Yudhishthir, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you are afraid of him." Text 12. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pritha as his kinsmen. And all the kings of the world are with Lord Sri Krishna. He is present in his home and with all his family members. The kings are princes of the Yadu dynasty who have conquered an unlimited number of rulers, and he is their Lord. Yes, Krishna is their Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura gave Dhritarashtra very good counsel regarding political alliance with the sons of Pritha and the Pandavas. The first thing he said was that Lord Krishna was intimately related with them as their cousin, because Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is worshipable by all Brahmanas and demigods who are controllers of the universal affairs. Besides that, Lord Krishna and his family members, the royal order of the Yadu dynasty, were conquerors of all kings of the world. The Kshatriyas used to fight the kings of various dominions and kidnap their beautiful princes' daughters after conquering their relatives. This system was laudable because the Kshatriyas and the princesses would be married only on the basis of the chivalry and of the conquering Kshatriya. All the young princes of Yadu dynasty married the daughters of other kings in this way by chivalrous force, and thus they were conquerors of all the kings of the world. Vidura wanted to impress upon his elder brothers that fighting with the Pandavas was fraught with many dangers, because they were supported by Lord Krishna, who has conquered even in his childhood demons like Kamsa and Jarasandha, and demigods like Brahma and Indra. Therefore, all universal power was behind the Pandavas. So in the purport by Srila Prabhupada and by the advice of Vidura, we can see that Vidura is giving the good counsel, as it is mentioned earlier that Vidura was known for the good counsel, like in current days, Chanakya Pandit. We quote Chanakya Pandit many times. So similarly, Vidura was always giving good counsel. And first, he was very learned. Secondly, he had that kind of relationship with Dhritarashtra that he could give the counsel. And third, he was fearless. Vidura was not fearful of anything. And means it's an art, to give advice to someone in a very straightforward manner and being fearless at the same time. So now, if you look at it, Vidura was giving in this verse, Vidura is saying very clearly, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagwan, he used the word Bhagwan. And then he's not only saying it, he's proving it, because how Krishna has conquered, means so many people, he was the conqueror of the world. And Dhritarashtra knew that Krishna is almighty, all-powerful, Supreme Personality of Godhead. But still, he was not able to see it. That's what we call, we say in Hindi, dekh ke bhi nahi dekhna. We see it, but still we don't see it. So why is it that Dhritarashtra is seeing it, but still not seeing it? And the main reason was Dhritarashtra was very attached. And he was attached to his son. Means there were many things he was attached to, but there were two main reasons, two main attachments that caused this. First, his son, and then to the kingdom. So he was always envious of Pandu, his brother, that Pandu got the kingdom. He did not get it because he was blind, although he was the elder brother. So he always held that enmity, and he had this strong desire to be the king. And he passed on this desire to his son. And his son was like walking personification of Dhritarashtra's desires. His in Hindi we say Mahatvakanksha. In English, what would we say for Mahatvakanksha? If anyone knows, please let me. I'm not able to find that word right now. But that is what Duryodhan was, walking personified Mahatvakanksha of Dhritarashtra. So now, I was just thinking, what is the good example I can give here? So if you look at it, we are also all attached. And one of the means we are also all attached, and of course to our kids. And sometimes directly or indirectly, we also impose our desires on our kids. Like, because I want this, and I was not able to get it, but I want my kids to do that. So it is something similar Dhritarashtra was doing. And Dhritarashtra, the impact of Dhritarashtra's desire was huge. And impact of our desire, if we look at it, that is also huge on the people whom we impose our desires on. But in case of Dhritarashtra, it was the whole world. It means all his sons died, and not only his sons died, so many people died in that war. And it was only because of Dhritarashtra, his desire to be the king. And although Krishna was there in front of him, he was not able to see Krishna because of his desires. So means sometimes, like my mom, she says that those people were so fortunate that they were able to see Krishna. And I always replied to her in that, means seeing Krishna is not enough. Even Dhritarashtra, means he did not really see Krishna, but he heard of Krishna. He was present during the time of Krishna. Duryodhana saw Krishna. So it is not seeing Krishna that is important. The important thing is where our attachments are. And that is what matters. So like we see Krishna every day in the temple, in the deities, when we see the deities. But since our attachment is not with Krishna, means at least my attachment, I cannot say for everyone else, my attachment is not with Krishna. So when I go in front of the deities, my mind go to everything else but Krishna, who is standing in front of me. So the reason is our attachments. So because our attachments are not towards Krishna, so even if we see Krishna, we don't see Krishna. So Dhritarashtra, although he knew everything, but still he was not able to see it. He was blind not only from his eyes, but he was blind from his intelligence as well. So Vidura is he's trying his best. Even now he's telling Dhritarashtra he's giving practical reasons for Dhritarashtra, but we will see as chapter moves further that Dhritarashtra did not take Vidura's advice. So I was thinking I will just talk about the downside of our attachments. So that I have already mentioned, means that is what, when I was reading this verse, this is what was going through my mind. So I'm basically saying my mind openly. So first thing I have already talked, like that downside of attachment is that we cannot see things clearly as they are. So it's like a water. If we go to the pond or a river, if river or pond is calm, then we can see through the bottom of it. Like if a moon is reflecting, we can see the moon in the water. But if the water is wavy, there is a storm coming and there are strong waves in the river, we cannot see the moon. So similarly, when we have attachments and our attachments are very strong, and it's like, okay, I want it at no cost. I want it right now. So then we cannot see in those waves of our mind thought process that's going on. That means, okay, let me rephrase it. We cannot see in our mind because of the thought process that is going on. So the thought process is like the waves in the river. So we cannot see the moon. We cannot see the moon in the river. So similarly, we cannot see clearly what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. Like Dhritarashtra was not able to see that he is bringing destruction to his own entire family. He just didn't see, although everyone tried to show it to him, but he was just so attached, he just could not see it. He could not take the good counsel of Vidura. He could not take good counsel of Bhishma Deva, Dronacharya. He had all the good people in his kingdom, ministers, but he just couldn't take their good advice. Whose advice he was taking? He was taking advice of Duryodhana. So we also, in the same way, we also have people who may give advice to us, but we take advice of someone whose advice resonates with our desires. Okay, this person is saying, yeah, I agree with that. But if someone is telling the truth, we may not take it because it's a bitter truth. We don't want to take it. So that is the downside of attachment. We cannot see the right thing at that time. What is the right thing to do? And we think we are doing good, but we are causing more damage. Like at that time, Dhritarashtra, he was thinking he's doing good for his son. His son wants to become a king. And Duryodhana would always, as we know, that Duryodhana was like, so firm that I want to become king. I cannot share my kingdom with these Pandavas. And he tried to devise so many plans to kill them. So Dhritarashtra was thinking he's doing good to Duryodhana. But when we see in the bigger picture, and by the result of it, ultimately he did more harm to his son. Not more harm, he did only harm to his son. So, so similarly, when we are attached to things, we are also doing harm to ourselves, and not only to ourselves, also doing harm to others. Like if we are imposing our expectations, yeah, so for Mahatwakansha, expectation is the word, I think that would go. We are imposing our expectations on our kids, and we think, and that I'm just giving that example to show Dhritarashtra's viewpoint. So like how Dhritarashtra is thinking, because we think Dhritarashtra is so bad, but if you look at it, Dhritarashtra is in our heart also a little bit. So when we impose our expectations on our kids, we think we are doing good for them, but rather we are doing harm to them in long term. So that is how Dhritarashtra's thinking, thought process, actions were. So I was thinking like, okay, so now we know how attachments can be, difficult for us. So how do we handle our attachments? So first I was contemplating on that, and on the example of our kids and our expectations, because we put our expectations most on our kids, because kids are most closely related to us, and we do not put that many expectations on others, and we may do whoever people are close to us. So kids are not only close to us, they are dependent on us, and we expect them to listen, so we can put our desires on them. So how do we avoid that? I was thinking that it is best first to know for ourselves that what are our really desires. We need to be aware of our own self without being judgmental, that okay, it's bad that I desire that. Like if we are judgmental to ourselves, then if we are judgmental to ourselves, then in that case we cannot go into ourselves, because we will be scared. So if you look at it, okay, no, this is what, I have this desire, and when I'm putting that desire on my kids, then I need to be aware if it is my desire or this is what is the best for my boys. That is one way to handle our attachments, to be first aware of it. Awareness is the first thing. And when we are aware, then we take action accordingly. Like, for example, I don't eat outside food. If I go to India, I always miss jalebi. And there was one restaurant, they used to make fresh jalebi in the morning. And I used to love hot jalebis with yogurt. So now when I go, I don't eat it, but I love jalebis. So yes, the desire is there to eat jalebi, but I say no, I won't eat it. So it is it's okay to have the desire, but it is whether we act on it or not. And then second thing is that second point I was thinking is that so we have naturally we have so many attachments, and it's natural to have attachments. Like if we are human beings, we will be attached. Not only human beings, we are living person. Any living person is attached. So without attachment, we cannot live. It is just we need to see where we are putting our attachments. So if we develop our attachment towards Krishna, then naturally our other attachments will go away, because then the attachment towards Krishna is so strong that it fades away everything else. And it's like as we see in there are many examples. I'm just picking one out of that. When Brahmana's wives the episode where Brahmana's wife provide food to Krishna, Balaram, and his friends. In that episode, when Krishna's friends approach Brahmana's wives, after approaching the Brahmanas who refused them, when they approached to Brahmana's wife, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that those wives were glowing with detachment due to their intense separation from Krishna. So we cannot have detachment from things just like that until unless we have intense attachment to something else. So that is how we need to, basically, we can work on our attachments. So instead of curing the symptoms that, okay, I will not be attached to something, it is better to do things that will increase our attachments to our Krishna. And that is the basics, ABCDs of our spiritual life. And the most important thing is the most important process of bhakti for us, for this yoga, is chanting the holy names. So because when that is the only time during our whole day, when we are chanting, that is the only time when we are with Krishna. And all the other time of the day, we are like, our mind is everywhere because we have to take care of so many things. So chanting is the only time when we are with Krishna. So that is the most important process in our life, most important sadhana in our life. And whatever we do other than that, like hearing, doing our services, all those things are to basically so that our chanting improves. So the main is the chanting, and other things are secondary. So we need to focus on our chanting more, and set aside our time for the chanting, that okay, this is the time I'm chanting, I'm not going to do anything else, put everything away and completely focus on chanting. So that is what my thought process was on this, and sorry for not being so prepared. So if anyone has any comments or anything, please.
Hare Krishna. Anandini, Priya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru and Gauranga. It's very nice. The way you worked, connected these verses to how our attachments work. Especially, I like the analogy that we are not able to see the moon when there are so many waves in the water. Just like that, in our mind, when it is not still, we are not able to see the spiritual side. And then I like the Dhritarashtra is in our minds also. And then finally bringing it to our chanting is the only time we are with Krishna. And that is great, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Very important points. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So one point I think maybe I was just running here and there and hearing. So I think I got the point about Dhritarashtra being attached to his Duryodhana, right? So, but then I don't know. I mean, was he not aware of those things? I mean, I think you mentioned that we need to be aware of our attachments, either good or bad, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So in the case of, I mean, of course, one thing once we are aware of it, we can do something about it, right? So
Yes.
without being aware, not recognizing it or denying it, one will not be able to act on those. They will come sometime or other. right? So maybe if you can share some more, some thoughts what we need to do, right? Once identified those.
Oh, but you're saying that once we have identified where our attachments are, what we need to do on that?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Especially when they are not,
Sorry, Prabhu, especially if they are.
especially when they are not conducive, right? So when we know that they are not conducive, so what?
Yes, Prabhu. So when we become aware of our attachments, first of all, it's very difficult to become aware of our attachment. That itself is a journey. And because we justify our attachments, that I need this, I need to do this because of this reason. So sometimes the reasons are real, and sometimes the reasons are putting a rug over our dirt. So that's why it is important to be non-judgmental, Prabhu. That is the basically most important thing. Like, for example, if I am at work, and it's a very crude example. I'm at work, and someone who is better than me is doing good, and people are appreciating the other person, but I am finding faults in the other person. And if we look at it from the upper level, it would be pretty natural to feel that way to me when I'm finding faults, that she's doing that, but she has so many other things wrong going on with her, but still she's like being appreciated by everyone. So I'm justified to do that. But if I go deeper within myself, I will see that, okay, no, actually she's getting so much attention, and that is why I'm like not liking it. So when I recognize this, that, okay, she's getting the attention, and that's why I'm not liking it, I'm finding faults in her, then I should not be judgmental towards myself, that I'm getting envious, I should not be envious, this is wrong, and this and that. Because the moment I do that, then next time, it's like we can understand our mind like a kid here, Prabhu, that if kid comes to us and tells us that, Mama, I have done this thing wrong. Okay. So our child is accepting his or her own mistake. And in that moment of rage, he or she might have done something that would have caused harm. So in that moment, we may get really mad at that time. So what happens next time, the child will not feel comfortable coming to us, telling us that a child did something wrong. They will start lying, hiding. So similarly, and at that time, if we can be just patient, I know that, okay, I'm so angry about what that other person, my son did. I told him not to do that, but still he did that. I can say all these things to him. But at that time, just the best remedy is to remain quiet and, just say that, okay, thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And I'm proud of you for realizing your own mistake. And it was a small mistake, that's okay. So when we do that, then the child will come back to us next time if child makes a mistake, and he will let us know, and then we can give good advice or whatever is needed at that time. But if we completely shun the child will not come to us, and then we cannot give our advice. And if child is not coming to us, the child is going to someone else then, because child has to share. So similarly, our mind also works in that way. If we know that, okay, I'm being, and like I go back to my example of that colleague. So okay, I am finding faults in her because she's doing much better than me. So then at that time, that means there is some envy in me. And that's why I'm feeling that way. It's okay to be envious. And then, okay, I'm feeling that way about her. So what do I need to do? Once I know that I'm envious of her because she's doing better, then I can think of few things, the practical steps that I need to take. Maybe I need to also learn some stuff to do better. And if I do not want to go higher, then I'm okay if she's getting more praises. Then I will be like, okay, yeah, I feel hurt that she's getting it. I'm not, but she deserves it also. And I'm not taking enough steps to go forward further. So it's basically knowing where we are and then taking practical steps from there. So similarly, in our utter attachments also, this was one small example, Prabhu, that I gave of being competitive or jealous or finding faults in others. But there may be other examples. So in the same way, if we process within ourselves that why we are having those kind of feelings or desires, and we don't place judgment on ourselves, rather we basically take practical steps, whether I want to do something to fix it, and if I don't want to, then this is the fact, I don't want to work on it, so I won't get it also. So does that answer your question?
Yes, Mataji. Very nicely put it with the analogy.
Harishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji. Nicely put some of the thoughts which we overlook on our regular day-to-day life. One question or a thought like means, I agree with you on that point, like what you mentioned, like a lot of times we put our impressions on our kids, like sometimes which we could not achieve things, and we wanted our kids to achieve them, and we wanted to get the pleasure through them. I think that's what Dhritarashtra was trying to do, and that's where like he was like more attached to Duryodhana, and he wanted all the things what he couldn't accomplish by himself, are the things what he got by the mercy or whatever we call it, like, but he got it. But I feel like he still felt like it needs to be like he wanted to see that happiness through Duryodhana, right? So so it comes like I'm just trying to understand, or maybe your thoughts, like when we see some of the things, like when we wanted our kids to accomplish certain things, like means educational, academically, or like especially considering being we follow Krishna consciousness, we wanted them to be in the Krishna consciousness and grow them in the Krishna consciousness, right? So we all understand the importance, but a lot of times it gets harder, like things to get them do things, like because their interest of doing things are different. So because being younger, so they won't understand everything what is good for them or something. So because at this age, like whatever they want to do, like playing games or like going around with friends, and so many things like which they feel are the important at this age, on a very younger ages. So how do we make sure that like when we are asking our kids to do something, how do we identify them, that we are not imposing our impressions on them, then like okay, they are the process what they're taking is whatever we are suggesting is the good for them and it's beneficial for them, and how do we impose, or like how do we try to help them get to it? Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the question. So you were asking that how do we know when we are imposing our desires on our kids, and at the same time, how do we guide them properly in their life?
Yes. Yeah.
So for that also, Prabhu, we need to be mindful of ourselves, our thinking process, because most of the times it happens we run in the default mode. We do things in the default mode. Like I'll give an example. I have done it many times. I'm going I'm going to my work, and I take a regular path to go there. But once I was going somewhere else, not to my office, during the same time, and by mistake I took the path to the office, because I'm so used to, my mind is working in the default mode. And many times it happens, like for example, I will give my examples. I'm washing my dishes. At that time, I'm not thinking I'm doing my dishes. I'm doing so many things, but I do not think what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. That's why my memory is also, I forget things, because when I'm doing things, at that time, I'm not mindful of doing my things. My mind is in all the other places. And if I look at it, I won't even remember what I was thinking at that time, like what I was thinking 1 hour back. So our most of the times we are in the default mode without even knowing our own uh, conscious or subconscious mind. So it will be a good idea to, before, like we need to catch ourselves when we are doing it. So let's say when I am saying something to my son, or I'm getting even ready to say something my son, or in the beginning it would be after I said it. That's how we will practice. So I said something to my son, and later on I need to see within myself that I need to be mindful. Okay, I said something to my son, because sometimes we get mad at our kids. We don't even realize that what we are saying when we are angry, or we don't even realize what we are doing, or our actions, or how we are hurting others when we are angry. So after it is done, it is a good idea to go back in our own mind, and again in a non-judgmental way, because again, if we judge ourselves, then we will not be able to go in our journey inside. So we go back, look why I asked my son to do that. For example, my son, let's say he got B grade or C grade. I'm mad at my son, and I get mad. And then later I think, why was I mad at him? Was it because he got B or C? So is it because what other people are going to say, what he got? Or is it because it is really going to impact him? So if you look in the bigger picture, B or C grade is not going to impact him that much. In his, like when I was studying, actually I never used to study. So and now I'm working here, right? So the grades I got in 4th grade, even I failed in my exam. It used to be like supply, and so you have to take the exam again. In math, it happens 2 times. So, but my parents never got mad at me, actually, never got angry at me for that. So, but how does it matter in the present for what I did when I was in 4th or 5th grade? If you look at it, does not matter. So in the bigger picture, it does not matter. At that time, we are frustrated when our kids are getting bad grade, because mainly it is because I wanted him to get good grades. I want him to get do good in his classes. So then we need to see in ourselves, is it really, harmful for my child, or it is what I want? And if it is for my own prestige, or why do I want it? Um, and there are certain things where we want our kids to do good, and which is good for the kids. So for those things, we need to be, it is just how we say it to the kids. And nowadays kids are like, if we enforce things on them, they don't like it. But if we just give them the choices and ask them to decide what do they want to do, then most of the times, if we give them the choice, at least my experience is that, then kids most of the times they pick the right thing. And even if they make mistake, my younger son's teacher, she taught me a very good lesson for Ane when he was in 2nd or 3rd grade. So, or 4th grade, I don't remember. So she said, it is that time she told me in parent teacher meeting, I don't want you to be too worried about his grades, because even if he's getting bad grades at this time, even if he fails, he will learn. Like, she asked me not to force my son to do the homework. Let him manage his own time. Ane was only in 4th grade at that time. She told me, let him manage his own time, make him independent. And if he doesn't do it, he gets a bad grade. It's better to learn now rather than later when he's doing things on his own. And that time, the mistakes can cause more harm. So since then, I never asked my younger son to do his homework. So like if he would miss his homework, he will get the bad grade, and then he will learn to, fix it on his own. Because it is him, who needs to be inspired to do things. And in the smaller, younger age, we are not going to make that many big mistakes. So it is just, that is what my personal experience is, to let the kids make choices on their own. Like in my case, Ane was doing it since he was in 4th grade. After that, after his 4th grade, I didn't know when his homework is due, how much homework is due, what he needs to do, even for his college, for my elder and younger son both. I didn't know what they're studying, which college they are applying to, nothing. But I just told them I am there for them. If they need anything, let me know. So I don't know, Prabhu, if that answers the question, but I think that's how kids learn better, when we allow them to make their own choices. If it is not harmful, we have to see that it is not harmful. It's not that a young kid is taking car, going. I had this case with my son, and that is where I put my foot down. Like once he was not, he had the driving permit. He was not supposed to drive without me, and especially after curfew hours, like after 10 o'clock, kids cannot drive. He drove, and then that time I said, no, you cannot drive car for 1 week. And I told him it is for his own benefit. I don't want him to get hurt himself. So we have to see that whether it is life threatening, or means, then we make accordingly our judgment on how to handle, Prabhu.
This one I got, Mate. The other question, like, means which I put, maybe you answered, but somehow I missed it, I think. So one is like on the guiding them, like giving them the more choices, and then saying that, okay, this is good for you, so do it, would help them to make the right choice and go in the right direction to grow better. And our question, like, how do we see, like, I'm not imposing my thoughts on it. Like, I think for this, maybe you were saying, like, maybe after the fact also you can just revisit the thought and then analyze it to see, like, am I imposing my impressions on the kids, or or is it really a good for it? Is that what you mentioned, Mate, for that?
Yeah, like I gave the example of the grades. This is where we lose our calmness. So if the kid is getting bad grades, then we are mad at them. So in the beginning, first to see ourselves, Prabhu, in the beginning, first we will do the mistake, and it is okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So okay, I got mad at my son, and then later on I need to see why I got mad. Was it because it is really going to impact him in long term, or it is because I wanted him to get good grades because of whatever reason, because what I need to tell others that my son is like very good, he gets good grades, or I want my son to do well in his studies and make his career like that. So that is how we need to go back in the situation. And then the next step would be, once we know, okay, I am getting mad at my son because I feel what others will say, that he's getting bad grades in his class. So then it's on us, after realizing what is the reason. Again, we are not being judgmental and saying, I did so bad, I shouldn't have done with this my son, and I'm comparing my sons with others. Instead of going into that big hole of the thoughts,
Okay.
Then it is better to see, okay, I did this because of this reason, that I want them to do good because I'm more concerned about what others are going to say. Then we can think back, why am I concerned about others, what others are going to say? Is it going to really impact me? If it's not, then next time when the son is getting lower grades, then we can take step, Prabhu, even before that. So once we know where our attachments are, the next time we can take the steps even before it is happening. So when I am mad at my child, at that time, I can see at that time, why am I mad with his lower grade? Okay, it is because of this reason. So even if I'm mad, I'm not going to act on it. And later on, I can do my own churning of mind. But right now, I will not act on it. So slowly, it will go down. But we have to remember in this process or journey that we need to be good to ourselves first. Before I try to be good to my son, first I need to be good to me. So most of the times we are nice on others and harsh on ourselves. So we need to be nice to ourselves as well. Then then we can work on it. So slowly we can come to the point where we know ourselves and we catch beforehand. But in the beginning, it will happen. We will do it. And other thing is, Prabhu, I strongly believe in it. If we don't make mistakes, how will we learn? So I have made the mistake, that's okay. But then we go back, think why I did it, and then we can fix it. So I think attacking all the attachments is, or on all the things, when your question was mainly for the boys or for the kids. So instead of attacking on ourselves for all the things we do with our kids, it is best to pick one thing and work on that. And once we pick one thing, then we can pick other things as well. So the point is to catch ourselves while doing it.
Yes, Mata. In general, I was just saying, like, a lot of times we try to impose our impressions on our kids, or like maybe other family members, like whom we feel like somehow, like, means we take them as granted, like we try to impose them, like, and we expect them to be in a certain way, like the way I would like to see, but without understanding what's their perspective, kind of thing. So that's where I'm coming from. So okay. Thank you, Mate. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Does it answer your question, Prabhu? Or
Yes, Mate. Yeah. Yeah, like means basically we just have to be aware of ourselves, like means be present in what we are doing, the actions, like then like the lot of activities what we do is kind of a muscle memory, like you gave those examples, right? So it just happens, like means at a certain time every day you do specific activity, like even unknowingly it just happens, kind of thing. So yeah, so being aware, and then even if something happens, like try to get back to it, like at least realize after the fact, and try to contemplate on it to how you can address it or fix it for future, kind of thing. Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Hare
thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. And Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandvat Pranam. It was you have a lots of very good realizations, which is really admiring to me. Whenever you give a class, your really practical applications. That is what we need to do anything anyway. So we could normally, when we look at the theory, we normally think about the exams. We go theoretically, we write something, we don't understand what we're doing, we come back, and when practically go to the lab, sometimes we are okay, sometimes we copy, sometimes we fail. The practicality is most important. So in that way, you are really giving us the practicalities of life. Thank you so much for that. So I had one thought on the reflection of the child thing. One thing in my life I would have seen is children are observing parents.
Yeah.
The way we behave, children will behave the same thing.
Yes.
Right. So if you say, the way we handle them is instead of encouraging or inspiring, we will threaten them. Then they'll say, okay, they will learn that, oh, we need to threaten for everything. What happens is, I've seen, if when I say, suppose a dad or mom says to the child, there are two children, the elder one, if you say something, the elder one repeats the same thing to the younger one, thinking that is the way we need to handle. So that means the children are learning from the parents. So it all depends on, nothing to do with the children, it is all with the parents. If you don't handle it properly, they will think that, oh, this is the way I need to learn.
Yes, Prabhu.
Right? This is what I understood in my life. And I have seen that practically. I used to yell, and the children, you think that, okay, this is the way we need to do it, yell. So now we say, why are you yelling? This is what I taught from you. So
yes.
just kind of a practicalities. Anyway, Mataji, that's a thought of giving us some reflections. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, this is true, Prabhu. It's like kids don't learn what we say, but kids learn from what we don't say, what we do. So that's very true. That's why if someone comes or someone says that please come for the counseling for their kids, then most of the times the problem is in the family, rather than with the kids. So yeah, true, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. So if no more comments or questions, then we can end, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.